Chair now recognizes Representative from Virginia, Ms. McClellan, for 5 minutes to ask your questions.
Thank you, Chairman Hudson and Representative Ranking Member Matsui for holding this very important hearing, and thank you to the commissioners for being here. I'm probably the most excited about this hearing of any other hearing we've had thus far. I graduated law school 1 year after the Telecommunications Act of 1996 passed. I was one of the lawyers who worked on, I think, the only arbitration before the FCC under that act. And I ended my legal career helping my client try to figure out how to provide inputs to the FCC broadband map. So I could spend hours talking to you, asking questions about the FCC's critical role, how we can work together to modernize the Communications Act, how we can ensure Americans can communicate freely, affordably, reliably, how we can help with pole attachment issues as someone who, yes, I also climbed a telephone pole, but I only have 5 minutes. And so in this first conversation with you, I want to focus on what I think is the FCC's most important role. And that's ensuring that the public, not political interference, remains at the center of our communications ecosystem, which, as you've heard today, there's a lot of concern about. Because since January of this year, at the behest of the president and under Chairman Carr's leadership, it appears the FCC has been pursuing a course that mirrors the goals of Project 2025, consolidating executive control, weaponizing regulatory authority, and pressuring speech and media that fall out of political favor with the president. These actions represent a clear departure from the FCC's historic mission and a dangerous erosion of the guardrails that protect free speech. And that's why earlier this year I offered an amendment to our oversight plan that said that this committee would remain committed to investigating any instances of the FCC weaponizing this independent agency against the news media to settle the scores of the president or anyone else, because that's the epitome of abuse. And I noted in that hearing that our founding fathers believed that freedom of speech and the press are vital safeguards against government overreach and are crucial for an informed citizenry and democracy. George Mason wrote in the Virginia Declaration of Rights, the precursor to the Bill of Rights, that freedom of the press is one of the greatest bulwarks of liberty and can never be restrained but by despotic governments. James Madison said that for the people to rule wisely, they must be free to think and speak without fear of reprisal. Benjamin Franklin said that freedom of the speech is a principal pillar of a free government, and when this support is taken away, the constitution of a free society is dissolved. And I can't be a graduate of UVA and not quote Thomas Jefferson, who believed our liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost. And so you can see why we are so concerned about how the FCC conducts itself as it plays a critical role protecting these linchpins of American democracy. So Commissioner Gomez, as someone with a front row seat to how the FCC has operated under the Trump administration and Chairman Carr's leadership, I want to commend you for your initiative, the First Amendment Tour, to challenge government censorship and control. And I want to know if you could share with us some of what you have heard from broadcasters, journalists, freedom of speech advocates while you have been traveling around the country.
Thank you for that question, Congressman. Yes, I have launched a First Amendment Tour because I have been so concerned about this administration's abuse of its regulatory authority in order to target content in the free press. And what I've heard from communities is a lot of concern. And this concern is bipartisan. It's across the ideological spectrum because freedom of speech and the freedom of the press is paramount to our democracy. I've also heard a lot of concerns about the level of consolidation and the capitulation of the corporate owners of these media companies in order to curry favor with this administration.
And what have you heard from small and minority-owned broadcasters about the unique role that they play in delivering local news, music, and entertainment that reflect the voices of all communities and not just the majority community?
Small broadcasters are really the salt of the earth when it comes to serving their communities. And it's so important that we maintain a diversity of viewpoints that reflect the communities in which these broadcasters are serving. There's one thing I would like to correct for the record, and that is there are 4 national networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, not just 2. And the local broadcasters that are seeking to merge are actually corporate behemoths, not small local broadcasters.
Okay. I thank you for that. I hope this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship with all of you, and we have lots of geeking out that we can do. And with that, I yield back.